Hello. Welcome to the full moon in Sidereal Scorpio and tropical Sagittarius. These Scorpio lunations have been really, really big in my life, and the transformation is real for me. And I am going to have to limit my services on the Patreon to just these readings because I have taken corporate job. I can't afford self-employment any longer, and I'm sure you understand. So this full moon is trine Mars, and we want to remind ourselves that full moons are just the midway point, right, of the lunar cycle. But they are the brightest, most illuminated reflection of the sun. And something shows up that can be seen that is the full flower of the lunar cycle. Now remember, that lunar cycle is sun and moon together in darkness at the new moon, sharing a need that humanity has, according to Dane Rudyard. And the moon has been watching us, and she goes to the sun with a problem that she perceives that we have, and together they evolve an idea that is fully illuminated at the full moon and then begins to disseminate and spread out for all of us. The strength of illumination that we're seeing right now is coming in the form of people standing up for their own individual and personal power. However you feel about protest, however you feel about the way it's being executed, that impulse to assert your rights is the very foundation of our country in the United States. And it isn't as much about the ideology of capital. It isn't as much about Democrats or Republicans, right? It's about people and their rights. And we have been the beacon on the hill. And here, those ideals, which is a very Sagittarian notion, ideal belief, right? The archer shooting for the highest aspiration is brought down into the underworld of Scorpio, where the riches are, where the foundations of all life are. So we have this very lofty idea, and we have this very basic, integrated, earthly, emotional intersection. Two things coming together with Mars in trine to this moon that's disseminating this idea that comes from the sun, involves all the planets, right? And involves all of us. And we're all adjusting. How well are we adjusting is the question. So last time, I love the serial quality of our readings and how it's kind of gone when I can keep them here. Last time, and the entire new moon cycle, right? We have to remember that this is all about the new moon cycle. So it's the next 2 weeks, but it also has iterations 6 months down the line toward the full moon, Sagittarius and Scorpio. It was all about leadership, right? Mountain lion. The theme of our reading was about leadership. And it was about us having the stamina crossed by the gentleness. The obstacle to our stamina was gentleness, founded in the giveaway. This kind of empathic lower portion. This very well represents Scorpio, right? Emotional and sacrificial. Moving away from self-esteem toward mana, divine breath, and crowned in transmutation. We become camouflage. And I think for people who are protesting, this is an important indicator. Protect your identity. Keep your self protected by being anonymous as possible. Innocence, porcupine, being as innocent as possible. I just realized you guys can't really see these very well. All around us, the innocence, anonymity, innocence, and stealth. Great advice for protesters. Loyalty is the highest expression of leadership. In our last reading, loyalty is the highest expression of the lunar cycle. Loyalty transmuting the breath. And this loyalty card and this dog card came up a lot for me in the past couple of days. Of course, I work with dogs right now, so that makes a lot of sense. But we want to see what the cards have to say, what Spirit wants us to know about this upcoming 2 weeks, which are bound to be very interesting. The astrology of this time is very, very interesting and reminiscent of the 1960s. Of course, this whole idea of we're fighting for rights that are assured to us, fighting against tyranny, fighting against fascism. I think even the people who were behind this administration as it came in are having to rethink. And we have to remember that as we move forward in these movements that are sure to grow larger, are already growing larger, that we need very much to realize that we can get along with people we don't agree with, and we can work together. Dogs do that, right? They find a hierarchy and they move forward together. All the planets in Kalsarpa, so on one side of the nodes, a bit of a bending of the nodes, as they call it, a loose square right now to Jupiter. And Jupiter and Saturn in square. So expansion and contraction. I mean, it's a chart of imbalance moving into balance. Growth is like that, right? Imagine growing pains. Labor pains is the other thing that I think a lot of with this. I truly feel like, it's a birth. Something is being born in us, a new consciousness, a new way of understanding. And that is very Uranian, it's very Saturnian, it involves every planet in the sky as they all come together to create something new. No leaping, no jumping, no flipping cards so far. So we'll see. Alright. Om Dum Durgaye Namaha. Om Shrim Mahalakshmiye Namaha. Om Aim Saraswataye Namaha. If the sound is bad, it's because I've got several air purifiers and my Corsi Rosenthal box running. Because we're having smoke. We almost had a fire, or we almost had a storm, and it blew up so much wind that something caught. It's a little early for that. June is very early. Okay, so in this reading, in the full moon reading, and for the next 2 weeks, we are represented by Badger. This is aggression. And it's 2 and a 9 and 11, it reduces to 2. That number is a number of healing and of unity, right? It's company. It's the badger's lair is underground, and the roots are the most aggressive form of herbal healing. So when we have aggressive healing like this, it kind of sums up everything that we were just talking about. Healing, like childbirth, like labor, is a process that isn't comfortable. And this Jupiter-Saturn situation, the way this moon is giving us karmic endings, and I use that word like there's a reason certain cycles are coming to a close right now. They are no longer sustainable. They are not supported. And I know that's a very kind of pat thing to say about a full moon, but I can feel it in my life. I don't know if it's showing up for you quite the same way it is for me, but I'm being moved on, right? And I think a lot of things are being moved on. There's aggressive resistance to that. There's aggressive change and aggressive resistance and a heck of a lot of aggression. And it's all kind of coming to the surface right now. So we are aggression. Aggressively healing, aggressively resisting, aggressively changing, aggressively adapting. Being aggressed upon. Being the aggressor. Aggression is a good word for right now. And trining the sun, the moon trining the sun, it's a whole mood, right? Aggression. It's aggression crossed by camouflage. Now this time, I get the sense that it's we don't know who we are. We don't know what we're capable of. We don't know how much capacity we truly have. Something is hidden. And it's something about us, something about our identity. And it's what's hidden is making us aggressive. What is unknown is what's kind of got us chasing our tails in a sort of ugly way, collectively. We would like to go through the process of healing, the process of becoming, with a lot more grace, but we don't know what is becoming, what we're becoming, what the becoming is all about. There's a hidden factor here, and it's an obstacle linked in some way to our aggression. It's founded in magic. Ooh. It's a 7. It's a 7. So, healing magic. What's got us chasing our tail in this process is hidden from us, and it's magical. Magically concealed. There's an unknown that's almost like an ensorcelment. There's an unknown that is making us feel aggressive. And it has intention behind it. It has magical intent. And what can be said of magic? Magic is unspoken. It's unspeakable. I was just reading Ceremony by Leslie Mormon Silko, and in that tale there's a coven, a group of witches who come together, and one of them curses the world, and all the rest of them are a little like, hey, that's a little dark, take it back. When those words are spoken, they cannot be reversed. And I'm not saying that this is necessarily a curse, but it is enchanted. It is magical is the word, but like spell casting, like witchy. So our aggression is caused by something being hidden, and what is hidden is magical. Sorry, I'm not more eloquent about this card. I need to get more adjectives, but I think as we move along, it might become more clear what kind of magic we're dealing with. This whole situation for the next 2 weeks is crowned by grace. Now that's good magic, right? But there's a polarity here. The raven and the swan. This 39 reduces to a 3, if my math is good. And 3 being the Trinity, being holy numbers, being sacred, makes me think that that is the pole that we're stretched between a sort of sacred unknown and a sort of magical, more pagan unknown, earthy, right? Neither wrong nor right, but we are in the balance of that, and it's uncomfortable. This movement of karma, this turn of the wheel, this closure of a cycle, has something to do with the forces of light and dark. And just like at the full moon, we see most of the light, the new moon is where we see most of the dark. When one expands, the other expands together with it. And here we are in the middle, like, hold on, quit pulling me both directions. Let's see about the other directions. So we're moving away from weaving. There is a little bit of a sinister edge to this. I am spider biased, though. So you have to, and I like crows, but they can be very dark. And that's, raven is a different animal. I see a lot more crows than I do ravens. Ravens are much bigger. Spiders, on the other hand, and it's another 7. It's a healing number. So the darkness is being brought up for us to heal it. And it's ours to claim, ours to see, and ours to deal with. Spider, although, it's kind of their planet, also gave us the intelligence in the Native American myths, gave us the intelligence to create the alphabet, gave us the spoken word, which is a spell, which is magical, right? And these unseen forces are moving us away from the weaving of the spell, the incantation, the initiation of the spell, and moving us toward loyalty. Now, very important Venus movement, right? All the outer planets have moved. Everything is going to change. So we're examining our loyalties, and the difficulty of understanding where the spell came from was we were too young to know that it was being cast. Loyalty to our early conditioning is like this weaving, is like this magic, is like what's hidden from us. So we have to become aware of how we behave in crisis. Becoming aware of how we behave in crisis shows us how we were conditioned when we were very, very young. And in most of our relationships, we're being loyal to our family of origin without knowing it, without being conscious of that. This looks to me like we're getting a new loyalty. And it has something to do with divine movement out of an aggressive loop of unknowing, almost like caught in a hex of conditioning that we've been loyal to, but taking back the power and being loyal to ourselves through grace. A new loyalty. That it shows up twice, that it showed up as the best possible alternative, possible outcome, the thing that we were finishing. We were ending loyalty to family of origin. And not everybody had a bad family of origin, but we all have to admit at some point, being Westerners, that this is just as easy our national ideology, our way of looking at the world. So we're getting a better informed way of being loyal to self, to planet, to what really matters to you, to me, to us. We are becoming boundaried. Mm-hmm. I feel that. I mean, that's happening for me. I'm not certain it's landing for everybody quite the way it is for me, but I'm willing, ready to change where I've been going and what I've been doing. This reduces to a 1, and 1 is about the ascendant, the one without a second, the self, the one wholeness, the unity, right? Enough with the nonsense conditioning, enough with loyalty to you name it. It's time to be loyal to the whole. It's time for all of us to see ourselves as humanity instead of individual humans. And be loyal to that by enforcing boundaries. Now, boundaries, someone explained this. It's Dana Lynn Knuckles, the People's Oracle, who gave me this one. It was a couple of weeks ago, and it has been so helpful to me. Boundaries are guidelines I make for my behavior. They don't have anything to do with anybody else. My boundaries are for me and about me. And I'm the only one who can do anything about them. Hopefully that lands for you as well. We are becoming boundaried individuals. Got the deck upside down. Not what I wanted to do. All around us is the spiral dance. Another 7. That's 4 sevens. 2, 3, 4. So, the spiral arm of the cosmos, the networks of the brain, the movement of the tides, everything that works the sacred spiral, everything from hex to grace is moving us through space and time. It's that drill bit of light and dark, new moon and full moon, the cycle, the process, right? We are much more processes than we are actual objects. And that is all around us and in us if we look for evidence of it. We hope and fear. Hopefully I've got them right side up now. Ego. Another 7. It's 5. 5 sevens now. So 5 is a transformation number. And ego is this fear body that's been running the show. That all of those additional or original conditioning, ideologies, nationalities, all of that, it was all in service to ego. And the rhyme for this one that's in the book always comes to my mind. If your ego is not your amigo, you know it stinks. Because it is an important thing to have. I mean, it's a boundary, right? It's about me putting the food in my mouth and not in your mouth. And, you know, boundaries are necessary. We need them. And obviously in this reading, we need them a lot. So while it is hopeful that we can use it properly, it's also fearful that we haven't been. And that right now particular leaders, I mean, I can think of at least 3 right off the top of my head that are not dealing with their egos very well at all. They, are having people in service to them that are only reflecting back to them what they want to hear. These are not people who have any convictions. They don't have any principles. They are out for self-aggrandizement and, are not caring who lives or dies. And the hope is that we come together in a new loyalty to the whole, to the spiral, and we don't allow ego to take us over. So it makes sense, both fearful and hopeful. We want to be strong in our humble sense of self and not allow people who are not that way to lead us forward. We are finishing. I'm getting these upside down. Self-esteem. There's a sense in which when we finish this process of being tempered by magic and grace, that we will have more self-respect. That, I think, is what happens when you fight for your rights. I think when you are able to illuminate, elucidate, and demand that your needs to be treated as a person and to be treated fairly, when you demand that, you become better at being a person and at understanding the challenges of our planet, the challenges of polarity, the challenges of self and other, and that dance of intimacy that has to happen in order for there to be higher goals like democracy, human rights, fairness, sovereignty. Beautiful words that come through this process, this struggle, this transformation that we are undergoing. And the whole thing is about rebirth, which is a 6, which is the number of Venus, and is the number of love. And may we see all as love itself, no matter how difficult or dark it seems. It's necessary, it would seem. I mean, I think if there was another way for us to change ourselves, other than trial and error and making mistakes and darkness and repeated cycles of difficulty, we probably would have found a way to do that by now. But we haven't. So here we are, transforming again, being reborn again. And this is Pluto's card. This is the card of the underworld journey. Venus has just emerged as the morning star, her warrior incarnation. Her clarity is ours at this full moon. Should we choose to follow a new loyalty, a loyalty to the larger cycle of the spiral. Toward a firm understanding of what we allow in to the building of our future, to the building of our rebirth, and what we don't, to what we will dance with and what we won't, to how our ego will play us and how we will play it. And all of it describing a way that we can become more esteemed in our own eyes, in our own hearts, so that we can respect our humanity. And when we look back on this frightening passage, this terrible polarity, we're proud of the way that we acted, and we're proud of ourselves. I found this out hiking with the dogs the other day, and I saw an eagle. Must have been the one that dropped it, right? Had to have been. Being harassed by a crow. Not a raven, but a crow. And the word that came to mind was unbothered. It's important to me right now to feel the larger pattern, the larger loyalties in my life, and the grace in my life. When difficulty and darkness is trying to drag me under, I have to remind myself that I am soaring, and that I am stardust. And if you get a chance, look up at that big, beautiful moon and remind yourself that you can look into the sun, because its reflected light is right before you. You can do lots of things. I hope that they're all very helpful. And I hope you get back to me about whether or not you're going to stick around at the Patreon. And if you want to just go to free, I'll continue doing these for as much or as long as I can. I am so very grateful for your attention and your support, your kindness, and just who you are. And having been on this journey with me, some of you since 2015, when I started actually studying and working with astrology, a couple conclusions about that I really just want to leave you with. All astrology is interpretation. It's symbols. It's reading symbols and interpreting what you think they are. It's much more interesting to develop a relationship to the symbols and start to read for yourself. And all these wonderful people in their interpretations can then help you develop your own system, your own way of thinking, and your own intuition about it. I feel like if I had my druthers and if I had all the time in the world to do what I want to do, I would be making symbolic chart drawings and art for my patrons and for people who wanted me to give them physical representations of the symbols to work with. Probably not going to have time to do that going forward, at least in the short term. But we'll see. Let's get through this month with the challenges that it's presenting for us. And with an open mind and an open heart, look toward the astrology and anything you see or hear as someone else's interpretation. And unless you're having the actual experience of it, know that you're not getting 100% of the facts or your interpretation. Keep your heart and mind as open as possible as you move through a fearful time. If there's any way I can support you in the next 2 weeks, let me know. I'll be around and packing. Thank you so much.